Hey everybody, Chris here from It's Mead Made, and today I am going to go through the process of how I painted this Mandalorian bust. This was printed with Filament Hub, which is a new filament company that came out, and I decided to give it a shot, and I was actually really happy with the results of how it printed. And you can see here, this is the final straight off the bed, and I haven't done any processing with it yet, but it still looked really good. This model is from Eastman, from his Patreon. This model did require some supports, but not a lot, just really underneath the chin and a little on the back, but overall it turned out really nice. But you can kind of see around the edges that there is still some cleanup, but I decided to get a spin of this without even cleaning it up, just to show what it looked like right off the printer. Just to remove some of the layer lines, I decided to just take some sandpaper to some of the main areas. There was a lot of detail, so I didn't want to remove any of that detail. So what I really did was just focused on those really big flat areas, and it removed a ton of those layer lines. There really wasn't a lot there, but I just really wanted this to look really good, just because of the helmet and everything. I wanted it to be as smooth as it could be. But yeah, so all I did was sand it with some 220 grit sandpaper, and then it was ready for some primer. So then I took it to the garage and just started coating it with the Creality 2X primer, the black primer. I love this primer. It always gets a really good coat, and it's really good about filling in those cracks. So this is that process. Once it was all dry, I figured I can show you what it looks like after the primer. So I've done nothing to it right out of the garage and put it on the turntable, and it is looking great. I was really happy with how it turned out. The layer lines were almost not there with just that minimal amount of sanding, but that primer really shines because it fills in a lot of cracks, and I swear by it. So once I got it to the paint desk, I decided to work on the foundations first, so everything underneath the armor. And I was sticking with a lot of the grays because it was from season 1 of The Mandalorian, so I was really looking at that as my reference. And what I was doing was I was really applying a wet coat, and I wasn't trying to fill in the cracks on purpose because I wanted that shading to really shine, and that way all of the black primer still showed up in all of those little cracks. So I was basically applying it like a dry brush, but with a wet brush with the amount of paint on it, focusing on one color at a time, and I would go back over it a few times just to get the right color. And I will let you just watch this process right now. So once I had the base colors done, I just applied a wash to it, just to get a little more dark contrasting on there, and then went with my detail brush and got the edges because I was doing a really rough application with the paint, so the edges really weren't touched. So I just went around and touched up the edges to get that nice contrasting line. So to really give that damaged armor look, I decided to use Rub and Buff and put it in all of those areas of the dents and things, and I wanted that metallic look to really shine, so I started applying that to all of those areas. And one of the armor pieces, I needed to make sure that I was protecting it, actually both sides of the shoulders, so I had to mask it off because I did not want any of that metallic getting onto the cape. So you can see that I did it on a little area on the left side, but on the right side I had to mask off the entire area because that one was all silver. And then when I got to the helmet, I had to do the same thing because I wanted to protect that cape. So I just applied some quick masking. That way nothing got on it. But this is really where the model really just started coming to life once you get that helmet looking like that. But Rub and Buff is just fantastic. But it's really was starting to turn out really good. So once all the Rub and Buff was done, I had to go into the final pass of all of the detail work, everything on top of that. So it took me a little while to get some custom colors, so I actually mixed the rest of these colors to be custom to match what I was looking at for my reference. But I was really happy with how it was turning out, and then I just went ahead and applied it to everything else because the chest and the shoulder piece was all the same color, with just some of that metal, and I was kind of keeping away from the metalled edges when it comes to the dents, and then started getting closer and closer with every pass. Once I had the armor all done, I wanted to do just a quick dry brush to get this a little dirtier because I wanted to have that grit of the Mandalorian. So I just went through and did a black dry brush on everything to give it a little bit of a dirty look to it, and I thought it really made a big difference. Once that was all done, then I started working on the leather strap. So I was just painting it brown as my base coat, and I went over that a couple times, and then from there it was just some dry brushing and just to make sure I can make that leather really pop. And when it came to the base, I really just wanted kind of a sandy, dirty look to it. So I kind of went with some light browns and then added some orange browns and with just more of a dry brush. And I just kind of wanted this old look to it, and I wasn't giving any thick coats on anything. But I decided to kind of like use the spouncer to get some of that look to it and give some of the grittiness, and I was really happy with how it turned out. And then just gluing it together, and that was it. And this is the final result of the Mandalorian. I was really happy with how he turned out. It was just a great model by Eastman, and the filament worked out really well for first time using it, and I was just happy with it. I hope you've enjoyed this and seeing the process of me painting it. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me here on YouTube or even on Instagram. And please, if you've liked what you've watched, please support the channel by hitting subscribe and liking the video. But other than that, I just hope you have a great day. We'll see ya.